Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, Steve Roy here, host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show. Thank you for listening. I do appreciate it. So we are officially 24 days into our 75-day hard challenge. Well, I actually should say some of the guys are 24 days in. Me, along with a few other guys, have had to restart for one reason or another. For me, I done fucked up. I was on day 17. I was on vacation at the beach. I was so focused on the diet piece of it. I was following the Whole30, and we got there to the beach, and that we had no food, and so I'm rushing around trying to get enough healthy food to eat, and we had some friends over who were eating some amazingly delicious food, and it smelled incredible, and I was just ready to crack, but I didn't, and I ended up a couple days later waking up one morning and saying, holy shit, I forgot to take my progress photo. So there's a couple things you have to do as part of the 75 Hard, one of which is take a daily progress photo, which is by far the easiest thing on the list. But I forgot. And so, being true to myself, being true to the group, I started over. And so day 2 is today. So there are some guys that are still going strong, which is awesome. The guys are doing really well. Had a few guys lose, 6-8 pounds so far, maybe a little bit more. But mostly it's about feeling good and setting up those habits. It's not a weight loss challenge per se. It's a mental toughness challenge. So if you don't know anything about the 75 Hard, I've done a couple shows on it already, but you can always Google it. It's a free challenge that's put out by Andy Frisella, who runs and owns First Form Supplements, and it's really helped a lot of people. I mean, I think he said there's been hundreds of thousands of people that have done the challenge. So it's a pretty cool thing, and so I'm just looking forward to seeing how what happens with the group, how the guys do, how they come out of this, and obviously for myself too. And so, yeah, I'm back at it, though. Day 2, today. And honestly, I think that the hardest thing for me is drinking a gallon of water. I'm not a huge water drinker as it is, and for some reason, I seem to have an extremely small bladder anyway. So when I drink a gallon of water, I'm literally in the bathroom every 20 minutes, and it's so annoying. And plus at night too, I just don't ever sleep through the night. So I'm up 3, 4, 5. I think last night I was up 6 times to pee. It's just broken sleep isn't the best thing. So, your body will adjust. My body just takes longer than most, but it's what it is. So today, I want to talk about something that's extremely important, and I think it has a lot to do with your success and your failure when it comes to your health and your fitness. Let's be honest, most guys, and I'm speaking to dads in their 30s and 40s and 50s, we struggle to stay consistent regardless of what's on our plate, what our goal is, what challenge we're doing, what we're motivated about in any given day. And I brought this up on a call. We have a weekly call in our Inner Circle program. I brought this up the other day, and I just put it out there to the group of, why is it that it's so fucking hard to stay consistent with a few basics, right? Number one, you have to eat like you give a shit about your body, right? That's number one. What you put in your body is largely going to dictate how you feel, your energy, your body composition, all of those things. We know this already, yet we don't do it, right? Because it's fucking hard. It's hard to stay the course. It's hard to think, oh shit, I can only eat chicken and broccoli and brown rice for the rest of my life. And, obviously that's not true, but that's how a lot of people think about it. I can never enjoy the foods I want. But, the bigger thing is the draw. The draw, and I'm no different at all. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you got to be stronger. You just have to be mentally tough and you can do it. I struggle all the time. When I go off, the first place I go is McDonald's to get like a fish fillet and fries, and I'll get a vanilla shake because the stuff is delicious. That's the issue, right? We know deep, deep, deep down in our brains and psyche that the foods that are terrible for us are fucking amazing. They taste delicious. The honey buns, the Entenmann's raspberry Danish, Snickers bars, Reese's peanut butter cups, all that stuff. It's not by accident, right? They make this food so it's almost irresistible. Okay, is it? No, of course not. But it's just so deep in our brains, right? We've been eating this stuff for decades and decades. So yes, our brains know you're going to feel amazingly good for at least a short while after you eat whatever. For me, like Red Vine's licorice is one of my absolute favorite things. I'll eat a whole box of it, like 500 to 600 calories. I could eat it in 2 minutes. I'll just gorge on it because it's so good. And everyone has their own thing. And so, all right, so diet is number one, right? Number two is exercise, okay? Staying consistent with a regular program is hard. It doesn't matter how great the program is. There is no best program. Everything works, nothing works, right? I sell programs. I've created tons of programs. They're good, sure, but there's no one size fits all. There's no best one. But at the end of the day, no matter what we have in front of us, even if it's outlined to the detail, every minute detail is planned for you, we still aren't staying consistent with it because something gets in the way, right? We need to get consistent with our sleep, right? And I just said my issues, and that's something that I have to deal with. But a lot of us are not sleeping enough, getting quality sleep. We're not managing our stress. Okay, so when I look at this, few basics, and again, I've talked about this at length. What I teach in the Fit Dad Nation is not sexy at all. It's not intended to hype anything up. It's not intended to sell shit. It's not intended to trick you into thinking you have to buy something. It's just the fact of follow a few basics as consistently as you can, and you'll make progress. And so what I'm talking about today is why the fuck can't we do this? Why can't we stay consistent with eating healthy, training, getting more sleep, moving more, and managing our stress, right? And those are some of the basics that I like to talk about. But why can't we do that? And it's a huge thing. And so when you're thinking about it, anybody can be consistent with anything for a short amount of time. And people go through periods. They do the P90X and they're on fire for 90 days. But it's after it's done, they're tired, their body's beaten up, and they take a break, and that break leads to 6 months or a year, and then they're back where they started. It happens. I mean, I see it all the time. I've been working with dads for over 5 years now, full time. I see it constantly. In myself too, my own life, right? I work from home. My office is in the basement. I have everything that I need. 3 steps away from me is the garage door, and inside that garage is a shitload of equipment. There's a full rack, weights, barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, sandbags, medicine balls, jump ropes, resistance bands, suspension trainers. You name it, I have it. It's right here. I have zero excuses. Literally, I have fewer excuses than probably any of you. Okay, I don't have a regular 9-to-5 job where I have to be at. I do this. I'm in the fitness space for a living. I shoot videos, workout videos for a living. Yet I still struggle to stay consistent because something comes up, right? And that's the issue. Is we've got to really look at ourselves and ask ourselves a very important question: is why? Why is it? Because we all want to look good. There isn't a person on this earth that doesn't want to look better, feel better, have better relationships, have better sex. Every person wants that, right? That's just human nature. Yet, so few are willing to do the things that need to be done to have that. And at the top of that list, more important than any of the little things, is the big thing of consistency, okay? A few basic things consistently is the answer that we're all looking for, right? We don't need to go on any extreme diets. We don't need to cut out all of our carbohydrates. We don't need to train like a madman, but we need to do a few things. One is you need to eat better foods than you're eating now. Focus on things that have like one ingredient, right? You can't go wrong with one ingredient foods, okay? Eat better 80, 90% of the time. You're going to be just fine, Okay? Get rid of all the bullshit that you know is not helping you. All the sugary junk, fast food, fried food, all the crap that you buy at the convenience store, none of that is helping you. You know that. Knock it off. Exercise. Again, you don't need to spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours training a day. 45 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, whatever you've got, but you need to push yourself. Okay, you need to push yourself. I don't care if you can't do a single push-up. You have to push yourself to your limit, whatever that is. Start where you're at. Okay, don't jump on and try to do one of Jeff Cavalier's Athlete Next programs if you can't do a pull-up or a push-up, or you have very little strength, or you haven't trained in 7 years and you haven't moved hardly at all in the last decade, right? Don't try to do something like that. A lot of guys do, and what happens? You get hurt. Okay, start where you're at and just work from there. Push yourself based on where you are physically. Okay, that has to happen too. And then just start making better lifestyle choices. I mean, it's simple, and again, I'm not trying to minimize this. I'm not judging at all, because I too struggle with a lot of the things that I'm even talking about now. And again, I have no excuses, none. Yet I get off course for my own reasons, right? And one of my main reasons is my girls, right? I'm divorced. We have shared custody, 50%, 7 days on, 7 days off. And it's very hard for me. It's just my thing. Some guys can handle this better than I can, but for me, it's an emotional experience every week, having to leave the girls, having to hear from them when they're struggling at their mother's house. And again, if you've never been divorced and you haven't been away from your kids, you can't understand the pain that you go through when you can't see your children, or they're hurting emotionally or mentally. And it's heartbreaking for me. And every week it happens. So like my emotions are on a roller coaster. And so when I try to get focused on one thing, and I'm an all or none type of guy, like I need to go all in on something. And when I have a lot of balls up in the air like I do now, or I'm really struggling emotionally with some of the things that my girls are going through, I shut down, I withdraw. I don't want to, I stop posting on social media. I don't want to do much. I really become really introverted. I'm already an introvert as it is, but I become very introverted, and I lose sight of the bigger picture things of I'm here to help not only the guys that are paying me to help them, but I'm here to help myself. Like, how am I supposed to lead and teach and help other men if I can't take care of myself? And it's something that it's an ongoing battle for me. It's a conversation I have to have with myself all the time is, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You've got all these guys relying on you. You've got all these challenges running. You've got, you're working on some big projects. You're going to start writing a book. You're doing a 75 hard, all these things, yet I'm being sucked down into this abyss here of negative emotions constantly because, it's so powerful. And again, I'm just sharing this because you have your own demons, you have your own struggles, you have your own emotional issues that are likely controlling how you respond to different things. So the whole point of this show is to get you to look at the reasons why you aren't just following the basic principles of good health and nutrition and fitness, because you already know what to do. Okay, you all know what to do. You all know what to do. Clean up your eating. Start pushing your fucking ass around, right? Clean up your lifestyle. Make better choices. Be happier. Get outside. Move more, right? Basic things. But there's something in your way that's stopping you, whether it's, you're 2 weeks in, you have to go on a business trip, you're fighting with your spouse, you lose your job, right? You take on a new job. There's always going to be something. I really want you to understand this because it's important, is there's always, always, always going to be something, no matter how awesome your life is, no matter how you have things dialed in, no matter what your lifestyle looks like, something will come up that's going to try to derail you. I was reading Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art, a while back, and he always talks about this. He calls it resistance. It's this unseen thing that wants to push you off of your path. It's the thing that's trying to derail you from your work. And in this case, what I'm talking about is your work, is your health. Because, guys, we only get one shot at this, right? I'm extremely aware of my own mortality. I'm 49. I've heard from a lot of people even close to me that have had strokes, heart attacks. I had a health scare a couple months ago on the boat. You never know, man, and it's scary. Guys our age are dying. I mean, we're dropping dead. Heart attacks. Things, diabetes-related illnesses. It's terrifying. And I'm not immune to any of it. I'm relatively fit and lean, but none of us are immune. For me, I always feel like it's going to be the stress. The emotional stress is what's going to kill me one day. But, you have to think about that, guys. Like, it's so important, and I do my best. I really do. Within our Inner Circle program to keep guys consistent, because I think that's exactly the thing that's missing, right? We run challenges every month, and there's always guys that fall out and they can't last 30 days. And again, it comes down to, it's not necessarily their priorities, because everybody wants to look better, feel better, have more muscles, especially dudes, right? I had a guy last month on one of our calls. I said, dude, why are you doing this? He said, I want to fuck like a porn star, right? That's important to him, and that's important to a lot of guys. For some guys, it's something else, right? It's to be a better role model. Like, that's their true intention, is to be a better role model for their kids, because maybe they grew up with two fat parents that ate like slobs and smoked and drank and didn't take care of themselves. Maybe they died early, right? And you don't want to lead that example. Maybe you are that example right now, but you don't want to lead it. Okay, I know a lot of guys that are setting poor examples because they're fat, they're overweight, they're sloppy, they eat like shit, right? They don't exercise, and the kids are turning out to be the same way, right? And I'm not here to judge you. That's your decision. It's your life. It's your child. I choose a different path, but again, it depends on what your motivation is, right? I have my own motivations related to my kids. I'm not as interested necessarily in trying to be Mr. Johnny Six-Pack, being able to do, 20 muscle-ups, and I don't really care about that stuff. Is it important? Sure. Yeah, I want to look good. Who doesn't, right? I want to look good at the beach, but that's not my motivation. And for you, you got to take a look at, what is it? What is it that you want? And take a seriously hard look at it. But, what I want you to really, really look at is, when was the last time you were consistent with all the basics we're talking about for at least 60 days? I mean, you're not going to get any kind of lasting results in a very short amount of time, right? You can lose a bunch of weight quickly by doing a couple of things, dropping your calories low, removing carbs, all that stuff, but that's not what we're here for. Instead, just ask yourself, okay, when's the last time I took a 60-day block of time and just, really just focused on, progressive training? You're moving every day. You're pushing yourself hard, but not too hard. You're really focusing on eating better foods. You're drinking a lot of water. You got rid of the soda, maybe the beers. You're really focused on shutting down those electronics at night and getting some good sleep, feeling, good when you wake up. Managing your stress somehow, whether it's financial, whether it's your job, whether it's your spouse, whatever it is, there's always stress in our lives. Always, always, always. So, and I think if you're honest with yourself, you probably struggled to find a 60-day period of time in your life that at least in your recent life, maybe when you're in your 20s, we could do that shit, no problem. But now, with all the responsibilities we have in our lives, it's much more difficult to really do that. And I'm telling you that you're never going to get the body you want, the health you want, the energy you want. You're never going to have the sex that you want until you really can just get your lifestyle under control and truly, be in control of what you're putting in your body, what you're doing to your body, And it's not an easy thing. Like, I'm not just going to sit here and say, man up, because I think that's just a bullshit thing. It's not about manning up. It's about, taking a look at your priorities, taking a look at the reason why this is important to you. And I've talked about this before, is why is this important to you? If it's not, be honest with yourself, because that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not going to say that's wrong. That's your life. If it's not important to you, it's not important to you. There's something else is more important to you at this time, and that's your prerogative. If it is important to you, then you have to ask yourself why. Like, seriously, why is this so important to you? And don't just say, well, I want to look better. I want to lose 10 pounds. Like, that doesn't mean anything, right? Why do you want to lose those 10 pounds? Why is it important to you to be at 220 pounds versus 230 pounds? How is that going to change your life? It's not, right? Ask yourself, what would your life be like if you were in the exact shape that you wanted to be in? Let's say you got down to the weight that you wanted to be. You were at in college. You're 185 pounds. You're at 12% body fat. You have plenty of muscles. You feel great about yourself. You're strong. Your wife can't keep her hands off of you. How would that change your life versus now, where you're 250 pounds or 240 pounds, right, with this big old fat tire right around your midsection, flabby ass, right? You can't even see your dick when you're taking a piss because your stomach's sticking out so far, right? That's how men live. That's how a lot of us live. And yet, we're not doing the shit we need to do to make a change, right? So I'm not just going to sit here and preach and tell you need to get your shit together. Again, that's not my job. It's to get you to do some introspection, to think about it, okay? You need to think about what it is that you truly want and then get after it with everything you've got. I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.